everybody. Thank you so much for joining us at Blonde Ambitions Podcast. I am your host, Dianna King. Today, I have such a treat for you guys. She is an actress, a model, a director. She's also the founder and CEO of Tornberg Headshots, where is she also is a brand identity strategist. Not only is she a woman of many talents, but she is absolutely stunning. Ladies and gentlemen, Maria Tornberg. Hi, Maria.
Wow. I should listen to that every morning I wake up.
I am so glad that you're here. We have a lot to talk about. There's a lot of questions and myths that are going around about headshots and what's right and what's wrong. So I'm really glad to have you on here that we can have a great discussion that actors can just come here and get all the correct information and they can move forward in their careers in the right way. So I want you to tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into headshot photography because you are an actress. So I'm curious as to how you got behind the camera.
Yeah, so I was born in Sweden. I grew up in Sweden, and I started out as a model when I was 15. I moved to Paris. And then for several years, I worked in Paris. I worked in Germany, Spain, Milan, Italy, Greece. And then finally, I was always on my way to America. It was always my dream. The modeling came into my life as sort of a bridge. It was never what I dreamt of doing, but it was a good sort of, you know, ticket out into the world. And I learned a lot during all those years. Obviously, it was a very different time in the 90s. It
Yeah.
was pre Me Too, and I was basically a child, a teenager, and traveled on my own, lived on my own. And I learned a lot about life, about the business, about photography, fashion. And eventually I decided to go to New York because that's what's always my dream was always to go to New York and study at the Lee Strasberg Institute. And so I did that in the end. And within a month, I knew that this is it. This is what I always wanted to do. I came alive. It was like, oh, I found my home. And
Oh, wow.
I stayed in New York and I worked. I did a lot of theater. I did independent movies, and then eventually I got the role in Super Troopers, which was sort of my claim to fame at the time, and it became a hit, and it's become a cult movie now. And I'm really thankful for that experience. And then I got an opportunity to come to Los Angeles, and once I was in Los Angeles, I was auditioning a lot, but I was really green, and I had a lot of stage fright. I had a really hard time with auditioning. I mean, I was shaking. I couldn't even like keep my legs straight, and stuttered, and it was really, really difficult. On top of that, I felt like the roles that I was going out for were very similar to the roles that I had to play as a model, the sexy, blonde, Swedish, sort of ditzy, and it's just not who I am. And I never felt comfortable in that role. And I didn't feel comfortable being objectified. So I was really questioning if I even wanted to do this, and why am I really doing this, if I'm not happy, if it's not really what I set out to do. So I decided to create my own projects, and this is what we were talking about before. I created my own content. I wrote a short film that I directed and I acted in, and I got Alexander Skarsgård to play a part in it, and it won awards and went through the whole circuit of festivals. And then a couple of years later, I wrote another short film, and very similar experience there. It was just a much better film, as in, I had a real crew, and the cinematographer, Korean Tron, is now like one of the best sought after cinematographers in Los Angeles or in the world. And
Amazing.
I just fell in love with that whole process of telling stories, because it's always been the core of everything for me. Is actually a writer. I know I'm putting a lot of things and a lot of titles in here, but storytelling has always been what I wanted to do. And I just love the whole creative process, and also learning about everything that has to do with filmmaking, which I think is really good for every actor to do. And it really taught me to put my ego aside. that is
Mhm.
not about me as an actor, right? Um, and that's what helped me get over my stage fright, because I realized that I'm just like one part, one
Yeah.
piece in the puzzle. And so sitting for hours and watching myself in the editing process was really humbling. And so it really helped me get over that stage fright. And then I wanted to learn more about cinematography, and I bought this amazing camera, Canon 5D Mark. I think it was Mark II at the time, and it has a really good video feature. And I started experimenting with lighting, and I was taking a lot of portraits of my friends, and a lot of them were actors. And then their agents saw the photos and they loved them. And then, the phone started to ring. And I thought, maybe I can do this as a profession, that I have something that is a business, a job, but it's also something that I love and it's creative and I don't need a whole crew to do. And then I
Yeah.
can also do my creative endeavors, as in acting and writing, on the side and not depend on that. So
Oh,
that's
yeah,
how.
that's so great. And yeah, you wear so many different hats, like you're saying. You have so many talents. You're so talented. You're a huge inspiration to a lot of actors, including myself, because we talk about finding income to help pay for things with acting, right? And so that's amazing that you kind of just fell into the photography realm, and it really just blew up for you, and I think that is amazing. And you take awesome, amazing pictures, and the headshots I've seen are just fabulous. And I love that you help actors with brand and the strategy, like finding out who they are, and because that's such a huge part of your headshot. It's not just a pretty picture, but you have to, I mean, you can. I'll give you the floor on that because you know way better than I do, and I think that's a huge question for actors: is how do I find out my type? How do I know what my brand is? What do I do? How do I know what to do in my session? So
Yeah.
I get that. I got that question a lot for this episode,
Okay,
actually.
good. Okay. Yes. Yeah, what I noticed was, well, first of all, I remember having my own headshots taken before I started photography. And it was always very frustrating for me, as it is for most people, most actors, because I would get the photos back and then I would show them to my agent, and it was always, it doesn't look like you, or you look better in person, or it was always something wrong, right?
Yeah,
Um, and I also noticed a lot of times that the agents they weren't really sure of what they wanted. So I think it's really important that the photographer and the agent and the actor together work on this, because it's an investment.
yeah,
And we need to make sure that you're going to get the kind of photos that will increase your auditions and your opportunities. So then I noticed a lot of times actors would come to the studio in the beginning when I started out 11 years ago, and they would have just like a little bag, and I'm like, where's your wardrobe? And they would pull out a t-shirt, like and a black tank top, and yeah, I want to do smiling in a series, I'm going to do a commercial on a theatrical. And I would take the photos, but I'm like, I'm not really sure what we are doing here. And so,
mhm,
I started to talk to them and say, well, how come do you think that a theatrical photo is a serious photo where you're wearing black, and a commercial is, something colorful where you're smiling? Because nowadays, commercials, TV, film, um, they want to cast people that are as close to the character as possible, right? So they're
mhm.
looking for real people. And a lot of times, especially in commercials, they're even looking for real doctors to play doctors, right? So
Absolutely.
yes, you really have to know what it is that your brand is. Like, what are the messages that you are giving the world, right? Your visual message. So that's really what a brand is, and a lot of people don't like that word because it sounds very commercial. But a brand is basically the story of you, right? What you represent. And and we take everything that is you, as in, your physical attributes and your personality. There's a certain essence to each person that is really strong, and we want to see that in the photo. So I have come up with a formula strategy with steps that we can take to break down everything that is you, and then put it together and have a clear overall understanding of what is the overall branding identity message. And then from that, we break that into looks, specific looks. And then within every look, you can play with different characteristics, right? But with
Yeah.
every look, you have to match it with the right wardrobe, hair, and makeup. But there has to be a red thread throughout all the looks. So if your range is here, we want to bring it in here, because we
Mhm.
want to make it easy for the casting directors to pick you, to understand what kind of actor you are and what is so unique and special about you. I know actors want to play everything, right?
Yeah.
But it can confuse the casting director. So I would say in the beginning, when you're starting out, I would do, at the most 5 specific looks. And then once you start to work, and casting directors, they can see that you have a more of a range, you can start adding that into your portfolio as well.
Yeah, and yeah, being specific with your looks, and when you go to your session, you have to have thoughts in your head as you're taking those pictures. Like, I'm the teacher, I can't, I'm not just taking a commercial shot. Like, it's very specific. You have to think of a script in your head, or to create the essence on your face, really. It's not just go in there and, "Hi, I'm the happy, commercial girl, and then I'm gonna be the lawyer." Like, it doesn't work
Right,
like that. Yeah,
right.
there's a lot that goes behind it, and that's why I love that you offer the brand strategy with your headshots, because people do walk in, like you say, and they have a black shirt and a white shirt, and it's like, "No, we gotta be more specific here. What are we doing?" Like, you know, and again, I wanted to ask you too about hair and makeup. So that should be done professionally for your headshot session, or do you suggest not? Just
I just want to say one thing. Do you notice that we have like off shoulders, both of us, but they're on the
I
very
did
good
notice that.
side? Isn't that cool? We're
Yes. And
completely
like, your skin is always glowing. Every time I see you, your skin is just like glowing. And I'm like, how does she look so beautiful all the time?
Oh, it's a
So,
mist. It's a mist.
oh, it's a mist.
It's a
Okay.
mist. It's like the best thing ever. I will pick it up later to show you guys, but it's a rose water. You can buy it
Oh,
at Whole Foods or Trader Joe's.
oh,
I'm
okay.
here for that stuff.
I love
Um,
that. Okay.
Yeah, but no, that's so. Yeah, but before we get to the hair and makeup, I also wanted to just say that there are so many steps that goes into, the session, right? So first
Right.
of all, is understanding like who are you, and what is the message that you give the world, and how do other people perceive you, and that has to align, right? And then we break that down into looks, and then we come up with wardrobe, hair, and makeup. So
Yeah. Sure.
but then we also talk about soul language and body language, and that's what you were touching on just now when you said, the essence of the face, right? But
Mhm.
that is basically like the soul language. Like, how do we actually convey these messages through your body language, how you're sitting, and how you are, just allowing your essence shining through. And so that has to be, organic and fluid, and that's the most important thing in the session, that I have to create this safe space for the actors so that they can feel vulnerable and let go, right?
Yeah.
When it comes to hair and makeup, I have 3 makeup artists that I work with, and all of them are really, really good when it comes to natural makeup and just beautiful skin, and just enhancing what's already there, and
Yeah.
helping just bring up the look a little bit more. But we don't want to do caricatures. We don't want to try to play these different, you know, characters. And I see a lot of those headshots where it's like every actor are doing the same look, like the quirky look,
Mhm.
and the business look. And so and that's not really what's working, because even if you do, let's say, a business look, then usually we talk about what kind of business is it? Because within the brand, when we break down and define that, there's also a part of it that's like, are you the kind of person that would go out for like really, um, really blue collar or white collar, for example? Would you be
Yeah,
a
like a
CEO?
corporate job as opposed to
Right.
just an everyday worker. Yeah.
Yeah, or are you in tech, or are you a
Yeah.
designer? Are you an architect? So that's very important to know because based on that we pick the wardrobe, and then let's say there's a look with a woman in her 50s and she looks like she could be the CEO or defense lawyer. You have to think about too, like, what kind of lawyer is it? Is it a public defender, or is it a ambulance chaser? What kind of lawyer is it? And like I said, within every sorry, I have a cold, so
No, you're totally fine. You're totally fine. No worries.
every look we can play with the characteristics of the look of the
Yeah.
character.
Like making it specific, not
Yeah.
just a lawyer. What kind of lawyer are you? What
So it's
Yeah,
important that when
teacher. What kind of teacher? Are you a 6th grade teacher or are you a professor? Like
right,
what
right,
are you? Yeah. Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
And so incorporate all of that. It's like when you are preparing for your headshot session, I think it is as important to prepare for that as if you do an audition, callback, or even a job. You really have to know exactly what it is that you're trying to, what story it is that you're trying to tell. But when it comes to each look, a lot of times I notice, okay, I'm going to do a business look. I'm going to be the lawyer. And then automatically it's this. It's very stern, very hard. But a lot of times powerful people are very relaxed because they don't have anything to prove, right?
Yeah.
So, also if you are a lawyer, you don't want to be intimidating.
Yeah.
There are times when you have to be intimidating, but there are also times when you have to be maternal, and as a CEO also, be a leader that is very gentle and caring, etc. So those are thoughts to think about within every look, so that you maximize the kind of roles that you can submit with every specific look that you're doing.
Yes. Yes, I love that. I love that. I love that. And it's so good too, so you don't get typecast, really. I struggle with that too because again, the blonde and just the way we look is going to put you in a box. And so really getting those headshots to captivate who you are as a person is so important. So you don't just get typecast because of how you look. It's a great low hanging fruit, I guess, in the beginning, but you really want to get to a point where you're playing characters that or you're playing roles that you love and that you can tell the best story. And we may look a certain way, but I can't tell a good story. I'm just not that person. I'm not, that typecast person. I'm more I don't know. I have more flavor to me, I guess. Like I have more depth to me than just the blonde bimbo on TV, or whatever. So and you do too, and I love that. Because it happens and it's really frustrating, and especially for those of us who do the work and we try to make sure that our brand is intact, and it does take a few times, I will say that. It does take a while to really grasp who you are and how to be really specific in those looks, and it really does bleed into your auditions, and it's a circle. It all connects with each other. So, I love all of that, and that's why I think I mean, I was gonna ask you, why is it so important to know your types or your brands? But you answered that for us. It's very important. Yeah.
Well, I think there are so many different ways of explaining things and words. I like the word brand identity because it really is about your identity,
Yes.
and nobody knows that as well as you do. But also, we have to understand that when we meet people, we are automatically giving them a message. and it takes people like a split of a second to have completely like, just checked you out and
Like a
give.
judgment, like a first impression.
And that is something that we all do, right? We read people very quickly. So you have to also understand that, I mean, I don't think that being typecast is all that bad. As in, I'm tall, I have a certain physique. I know that I'm going to play mostly women that are strong and powerful because of that, right?
Mhm.
There's
Mhm.
certain energy to me, that reads as authoritative and sort of a leader. But within that, I can do a lot of those characters, um, very comedic, right? So I do a lot of comedy, and I play those women that are often neurotic and psychopathic, and it's a lot of fun for me, right? But
Yeah.
but then I am using what I have, right? I'm using everything that I was given as my physique and attributes to mold my brand,
Mhm.
and have fun with it, because it's supposed to be fun, right?
Yeah.
And the process of creating a brand never ends. It's an ongoing process, and you should really have fun with it, and then you start experimenting. But the most important thing is to be authentic, right?
Mhm.
And to really have the courage to be authentic, because it took me a long time to allow myself to really show myself and be vulnerable. But that
Yeah.
has happened because I've worked with so many actors and allowed them, giving them the permission and helping them do that. And then I feel like, oh, I, I can do the same thing to myself.
Yeah, take my own advice. And yes.
It's been full circle for me, and yeah, it's like a 360 process. It's beautiful. I am able to give my clients so much, um, of the things that I've learned and my experiences and, my lessons, and then I get that back in return
Yeah.
from them. So
Yeah. And you work with a lot of amazing actors. Why do you think they're so successful, that you went after working with you? Why do you think that is?
yeah, take all the credit, by the way.
Putting you on the spot.
Oh,
Let me take a drink real quick.
yeah, there's vodka in there. No. Um, I just love the connection that I have with my clients. It's almost like making a movie in itself, because there are moments when I have goosebumps, and I just think that I have taken everything that I wish that I had when I was much younger, and
Mhm.
and then be that and make myself into that person that I so needed. And I think my clients feel that. I think that they feel that I really, really care.
Yeah.
I really care about them, and I really take the time to understand them and, listen to them. And every client is specific. That's why I don't do these headshot looks that are, cookie cutter, that we're going to do this look and this look, and make them into caricatures, but really try to see them. And that's why I think it's so important to have that conversation with your photographer before, and at least a Zoom, right? So you just get a feeling for the person, and the person also gets a feeling for me.
Yeah.
um, and I think that that is why, the photos come out so well, because there's a mutual trust and an intimacy. It's a very intimate process.
Very intimate. Yes.
and i
Vulnerable,
very
intimate.
and
Yeah.
I nowadays I know how to handle those emotions, but in the beginning, when I started out, because I'm a naturally shy person and a bit of an introvert, um, it's hard to go into the session and, like, you are with another person and you are looking into that person's soul.
Yeah.
Just the two of you, and then it can create a bit of like anxiety in a way for both people. And that's when I had to be like, oh, I am the leader here, or the leader, I'm the one who has to be in charge and make this happen. So I have to manage my own emotions, and I have to manage the actor as well, as in making them feel safe with me, and
Yeah.
that they can feel like they can be vulnerable. and
Yeah.
and then when you let go and it happens,
It's magic.
so beautiful. I mean, it isn't, you can feel it both, it's romantic in a way. It's like, it is, it's a
Yeah.
love making in a way.
Yeah. That's why I think it's so important, or it is so important to, connect with that photographer, that you had to choose the correct photographer for yourself. It's not just, okay, this guy was recommended, I'm going to call him and his prices look great. Let me try him out. No, you have to really connect. You have to really feel comfortable, because it is a vulnerable experience, and your pictures just won't, your headshots will not convey the correct message if you're not at that full potential of vulnerability, if you will,
Exactly.
because you're so worried about, there's like a barrier between you and the photographer because there's no connection. So that is, I would say that's a very important, for me at least. I make sure that I'm connected with the photographer on a different level than just, "Hi, my name's Diana. I need to get some headshots taken."
Right.
It's a
Yeah.
process.
Yeah, and artists are very gentle souls. So you have to, um, as a photographer, you have to really be mindful of that. And because if you don't feel safe as an actor, you're not going to open up with a photographer,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, the branding is very important, and it's almost like a teaser, right? So you have to look at your headshots as a teaser of what is to come, that there's so much more of that to come.
Yeah.
Uh, and it really tells, it really can tell so much about an actor. And it can really make a difference. And people can see if it's a professional actor in the headshot or not.
Mhm. Yeah, and when there's so many that the casting directors are looking at, they're just, little thumbnails of these headshots, you have to really stand out in those headshots. A lot of them are gonna be that just lawyer look, that's just the general black shirt, but, with yours, I feel like there's a difference. They stand out a little bit more, and that's what you wanna look for in your headshots, and it's not, it goes both ways. It's the actor's job to convey the message and convey and tell the best story, and it's, the photographer's job to capture that, and when you get those 2, I feel like you
Yeah.
can just tell when it's a great headshot. You really can.
Yeah. And a photographer is really a director. So it is the kind of,
Really, yeah.
yeah, it's the same work as an actor and a director working in a movie. It's the same thing as a photographer and an actor to working together creating headshots.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, I love that. So let's switch gears and talk about some of, because you do work with kids as well. And I love that because I love kids, and I want you to talk a little bit about that too. I think that's so fascinating.
Yeah, it's great. It's a lot of fun. I have so much fun.
I love it.
And the best part is that a lot of my clients become my friends. And I just worked with this little boy. He is so adorable, 3 years old with Down syndrome, and he's coming into town next week, and we're gonna hang out and with the parents, obviously.
Yeah.
He's coming in on his own. Um,
I
uh,
love that
yeah,
though.
and I just feel like I get really close to a lot of the families, and especially with kids, because I follow a lot of kids along the way. So I usually work with kids at least 3-4 times, sometimes more. and I follow them through their careers, and it's really so amazing to see how they grow up and what they're doing
Yeah.
and their acting careers. And sometimes I just turn on the TV and I see an actor that I worked with, and I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh, it makes me so
Yeah.
happy.
And you're a part of that success, because you with the headshot, that's kind of your okay, we like this headshot. Let's call this person in. That's like the first step. You're
Yes.
that first step for those kids and actor, and adults. Um, and yeah, it's probably so gratifying for you to watch that because you're just as much a part of it as they are, and it's such a beautiful thing. I
Yeah,
love
and
that.
also a lot of
Yeah.
parents, they don't, they're a little insecure when it comes to the business. Maybe they don't
Yeah,
have experience
absolutely.
before, and there are a lot of scams out there. And so I
Yeah.
really try to help them as well with advice and just kind of guiding them along the way. And I also help a lot of actors find the right representation because I work with a lot of managers and agents, and I have great relationships with them, and so I'm able to make introductions when I know that there's an agent who's looking for a specific type, and I can make those introductions, and that is so satisfying because that's taking the actor from branding to actually creating the looks and then the headshots and finding representation for them and seeing them take off. It's really gratifying for me.
Oh, I love that. Ah, that's so good. That's so exciting, and just kind of watching them on their way,
Yeah.
like, you're sending them off like they're your own kids, like, "Here you go,
Yes.
off into the
Oh,
world."
it feels like that. Yeah, I have a lot of kids, and yeah, it's a lot of fun. I mean, it's just joyful. It's just fun to work with them because we play music and we dance and we have a
Yes.
good time. So it's so much
I
fun.
was gonna ask you, what is it like? I know it's like a 180 when you photograph an adult compared to a child, but I could only imagine how much fun that is, and kids with the big personalities, and they're in there playing, and I'm sure it's just such a great it's probably a great day when you have, like, children coming in for headshots that day. It's
Yeah,
just
it's
it's
exhausting, but it's a lot of fun. I'm
we're
like
not gonna
crawling.
glorify it.
I'm crawling. I mean, the last session I did, I was just screaming and fake laughing and making funny voices and making animal sounds and crawling on the floor. And the parents were like, what's going on?
Oh my god.
But the photos turned out great.
Yes, they are fantastic. Just beautiful photos. Just you can just see the story in the photos, especially with kids. I love looking at little kids' headshots. They
Yeah,
are just the cutest freaking thing ever.
yeah, yes.
Definitely not a 180 from the 90s because I was a child actor in the 90s and my headshots were black and white and they were like they were more like glamour shots. Like,
Yeah.
I had it was different. It was a lot different back then. So, I feel like I'm relearning all the things again as an adult because the times are so different.
Yes, they
It's
really are. I
so
mean,
different.
it really is so different. And it's great that you've experienced that and seen the change because
Yeah.
I see sometimes people are stuck in that still. They still think that that's the way it still is with the headshots, with the business, and it's changed so much. It's a new business. It's a
It is.
completely new industry, and we have
Yeah.
to adapt. We have to
Yeah.
understand that social media is very important, and casting directors do go in and look at your Instagram pages, and you have to have the same branding, the cohesive branding message across all
Across the
platforms.
board. Yeah.
So, again, with a brand, it is so important to really be specific about what you stand for and what kind of artist you are and want to be. And that's the messages that you have to show in your headshots, in your reel, social media, right?
Yeah. And
Videos, all of it.
yeah, and like we were talking about earlier, before we started, is about creating your own content and making your own opportunities come to fruition instead of, waiting for somebody to give you the job or give you the booking, go out and find other actors, make your own short film, make your own little commercials, put it on, do skits, put it on Instagram, make a podcast. I mean,
Yes.
there's so many things that you can do now. You can release music on your own now. You don't have to wait for Columbia Records or, anybody to give you a deal. Sometimes it's just easier now to do your own thing and play by your own rules, if you will, and create your own content and be a success on your own and not have wait for somebody to give you the key to open the door, I guess.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's so important. And I've helped actors with their reels. I've directed a couple of reels for actors, and it's it's good to work with somebody on their reel after I worked on their brand and their headshots as well, because then we're able to do the whole package. This one actor, he wrote his own short film. He's a veteran, and the it's a beautiful short film. It's about a man who's suffering from PTSD, lost his very good friend in the war,
Mm.
and he's having a conversation with a friend about it. And the headshots that we did um, were very much the military, the authoritative person. We really tried to create the brand around who he really truly is, right? And this short film that he wrote. And so we
Mm.
took a couple of minutes out of the short film and we created a scene, and we filmed it. And so now he has his reel, that scene, and then his headshots that
Wow.
are very, very, you know, the same brand message, right?
Yeah.
And he just got an agent, and I mean, it's not like, oh, all of a sudden everything is going to happen, but it opens doors, right?
Yeah.
It opens
Yeah.
doors. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's yeah, it's just a lot of fun to create that for actors, because as you know, and myself, when I started out, it was just like grasping in the dark.
Yeah.
And now you can really create your own career. And the first thing you need to do is defining a brand.
Yeah. Finding your brand, getting some acting classes. Make sure you're a good actor first before
Yeah,
you go take the
ongoing
pictures.
too. That's ongoing, right? That's an ongoing process as well.
Yes, absolutely. Sorry about my cat. He does this every time, every
Of
time.
course, of course.
Oh my goodness, this cat. But he's the best cat we've ever had. I found him at Lowe's. It's like
Oh,
Home Depot. Yeah, I found him he was just walking around inside the store and I was like, I'm just gonna take him home. And I took him home. He was just a little tiny baby.
that's so sweet.
Yeah. And now he's like a big, huge monster and he climbs on everything and
Real life.
he's the best cat ever. Um, oh, let's see. I mean, Maria, which I know you really wanted to express this on the podcast today. What is your why? What drives you to do all of these things, amazing things that you do? Because you are amazing and you are an inspiration and you do wear a lot of hats, as a lot of actors do. They always have a lot of things going on. And what is your why behind it all?
I have always known that I wanted to go out in the world and have a lot of experiences. I want to live it all, so that I could take all of that and then create a piece of art, as in telling the story of this journey in life that I've had. And I wanted to experience everything, right? Be careful what you wish for. um, and I've really had such an amazing life so far. I really have. I mean, everything that I've experienced from since I was 15 years old, and I went to Paris and I left. It's been an amazing ride. And I've always known that I wanted to tell that story one day. And along the way, I tell many stories, as in my films, and I write a lot in my photography and working with actors. But um, 7 years ago, I had a near-death experience. I was became a victim of a crime, and I
Oh
was in
my
a
god.
wheelchair for 4 months, and I changed my perspective a lot on life. I got a second chance, right? And when
Wow.
you get a second chance at life, it really changes you, because it became about, what am I going to do with this second chance? And I want to be useful. I want to do something with all of this. I want to take everything that I've experienced and be there for others in some capacity. And I'm still sort of like in the process of figuring it out, because I thought that, oh, I was going to have this one big epiphany and then I would have all the answers. But as
Mm,
life is, there's just the steps along the way. And so my work became very important for me, because I started to look back at my life and, realizing that I was in a really, really dangerous industry at a very young age. And I went through a lot of trauma. And then this thing that happened to me 7 years ago, it just made me realize that, if I can be there for other young actors, especially young girls, teenagers, and guide them and be an inspiration and be someone who can protect them in a way, and yeah, just give them my you know my
your
my
guidance.
wisdom and guidance, and then maybe I can I can see that as my purpose in everything that I do now. I want that to be my purpose in my writing, in working with actors, and in my own acting.
Yeah.
So I'm very specific about what I take on now and who I work with, because it's important that we have integrity, right?
Yeah.
And that we're helping each other out and trying to, you know, as this generation that I am now, being able to be there for the younger generation. I think that's my why.
Oh my god. That was beautiful. I have goosebumps. Goosebumps. And I love that you you that's such a profound why, because this industry is so cutthroat and it's scary. You don't know who you're working with a lot of times. You don't know what that person is capable of. You don't know a lot of things. And so you have to be really careful, and managers and agents nowadays are very, if this is not the role for you, if you're uncomfortable, do not do this audition. I will support you 100%. When back then in the 90s, it was like, you have an audition. I need this in by tomorrow. You're doing it. There was no question of how you feel or any of that. And so, um, actually, what is it? It's a documentary. I can't remember if it's on Hulu. It's called
Quite on.
Quiet on Set. Did you watch it?
I haven't seen it yet. I'm scared to be honest with you. I'm a little scared to see it because it's very triggering for me.
You know, and I when I okay, so when I was a child actor, I had a friend who was from the same hometown as me that we went through this together. And we still talk today, and I messaged her after I watched it, and I said, "Oh my god, it reminded me so much of when we were kids, going on those kid shows and doing things behind the scenes, those directors. I mean, you think back and you're like, that wasn't okay. I I cried and I was uncomfortable, but they made me do it anyway. There we were on Star Search and we were dancers, and we had to do like 3 shows a day, no matter what. There was no break. It was boom, boom, boom. You had to change your costume and you had to go out there and film another show. And it was like we were only 7, 8, 9 years old, and we were under those lights for hours, and we were tired and we were hungry, we were mad. Like, it was it was very triggering for me as well. It just brought back a lot of memories. Not memories, it made me realize things that weren't okay. And
Right.
so I'm glad that today we have somebody like you who is willing to take those experiences that you've experienced and you guide people and you guide children and their families through this business because there's it's tough. The
Yeah.
rejection alone is tough. And to have somebody in the industry on your side like you is comforting and you're like a little guardian angel, you know? It's so
Yeah,
that's
I
that's
think.
great. I wish there were more people like you in this business.
Mm.
There are a lot of people like you, but I wish there were more.
No, I mean, I think, with kids, it's really about um, me wanting to realize what is so special and unique about them, right?
Yeah,
Because you don't you don't want them to feel like they have to be something that they're not. It's living in a lie, and you know that.
yeah,
And that's why I started to direct my own films when I did, because I felt like I was living a lie. I wasn't feeling yeah, I wasn't true to myself.
yeah,
And I think that's the best thing you can give a kid actor, teenager, is to really see them for who they are and allow them to cultivate that, because
yeah,
that's what we also should do as adults. It is to really look within, and the very things that we are feeling insecure about are the very things that will be your gift, the very things that
yeah,
we try to hide and change, right? Um,
yeah,
I mean, there's so many of those things within us, right? But one of the things the major thing why I stopped acting all those years ago, I'm acting again now. Excuse me. Excuse me.
No, you're fine, you're fine.
Um, I, ever since I was little, I've had a natural tremor. So my hands are always a little, trembling. And I was bullied in school for it. I mean, not badly, but people would comment on it. But as a teenager, I became very aware of that, to the point where I couldn't eat or drink in front of people. I was so nervous that and then when I thought about it, my hand would be like shaking a lot. And that was actually the biggest problem that I had, uh, being an actor, because whenever I was doing an audition or even just speaking in front of people, I would shake uncontrollably. And so I had to start taking beta blockers whenever I walked into an audition or whenever I did anything speaking in front of people. And now I'm not doing it anymore. I'm not I am I'm trembling sometimes, but I don't ever think about it. I don't take the beta blockers when I'm acting or go to auditions anymore. Um, and I'm like, what happened?
Yeah,
And I just think that, you know, with time and experiences, and when you go through things, I just feel like I'm accepting myself now. These are the very things about me that is my gift, because it comes from a very sensitive, extremely fragile, you know, artistic soul.
yeah,
That's what my tremor is. I'm vibrating. I have so much creative energy, and I'm a very sensitive person. And that is exactly what makes me a good artist, right?
yeah,
So, that's what I'm passionate about. And that's what it all comes down to. Branding is not about trying to make you into something that you're not, something artificial and commercial. It's about taking what you are and all your flaws and then cultivate that. And that is going to be your brand. And it's special and unique to you. And nobody is like you, right?
yes,
We want to make
correct.
you the most of you as possible.
Yes, that is the best information or advice you could so take that, write it down, and whoever's listening, write it down. That is amazing. That is so true. That's so true. I love that. I mean, I'm speechless. That's That was great. I love that. It's so true.
I can't wait to work with you and,
I know.
you know,
I'm
see what's
excited.
behind there.
Yes.
You have
Yes.
a lot of different sides to you. A lot of different sides to you.
Yeah, I do. I feel like I have yeah, I have more to give than just the little blonde girl, just sitting there being blonde. I don't know. There's so much more to me than that. And I think and for anybody out there, I have insecurities being sensitive as well. And I was always told as a child, you're way too sensitive. Like, stop being so sensitive.
Yeah.
Um, man up. And it's like this is just who I am and I'm sensitive. Yes. And that's just, don't let anybody tell you who you are. So what? I'm sensitive, but that just means, now as an actor and now I'm an adult, I know how to use that to my advantage and and it's just me being me.
Yeah.
And it's just more of an elevated you when you get on set or you are, just like let's just use Kevin Hart. He is a comedian, he's funny. He is who he is in every single role he plays. He
Yeah.
is still Kevin at the core.
Mhm.
So that's he's not going and playing a doctor who's not funny. He's Kevin. We know Kevin, and just like any other actor that's out there, they play and you kind of this is you and you kind of, are these little roles right here and you still stay true to who you are. You bring your own flavor to that character. Your laugh is the character's laugh. Your little quirks and things that you do, that's you bringing yourself to the character. Don't subside on those things. Let those things come out.
Yeah,
That's
but
what makes the character special.
there's a lot of things within us as well that we don't get to be in real life.
Yes, thank you. Yes, that
So,
was
right?
another one.
So, then you get to be all that. And that's what's so fun to me is pulling those shadows out of ourselves because we all have the shadow sides, right? But we don't live in those because we hide them. But then as an actor, you're able to, and you're permitted to use them, right? And
Yeah.
that you get to live your full self. Um,
Yes.
I was on set last week for 2 days working on a commercial, and I just took a moment and I looked around the studio. It was on a sound stage. So everyone in production was there in this huge studio. And it's so great being on set because everybody sort of dressed the part. Have you noticed that? Like the gaffers look like they always do, and the makeup artist has her look, and
Yeah,
everybody looks
yeah.
the part. But it's also so many people in LA are coming from all different countries around the world, and they come to this place. And I think most of people, I don't like to speak for other people, but I suspect a lot of people coming here are, artistic and a little different in ways.
Yeah.
We're all
Yes.
a little, you know, funny in ways. And we all have the same sort of longing, right? And we're chasing our dreams. And here we are, and I was just looking around and seeing all these people from all different countries and all different types of people and ethnicities, and but the one thing that we have in common, right, is that desire to tell a story and to be in this business and follow our dreams. And it makes us so similar. And I just felt this just love, for the business. It has a lot of dark sides, but it's just a fun, um, almost like it's like how grown-ups play in a way, right? We play make believe.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
There's
yeah.
like a camaraderie between all of us that, we all come from different places and backgrounds, and we all grew up differently with different beliefs, different religion, different everything.
And everybody
And
story. Everybody has a story.
Everybody has the
Yes,
story, and it's we don't talk about those things, we talk about what we have in common, which is creating
exactly.
and doing all those beautiful things that we all wanna do, even if no one cares, I still wanna create this podcast, even if I had 0 listeners, I would still be doing this because I love it, and I think, eventually, it'll make its way out and people will get good from it, and that's all I wanna do is inspire people, and I love that because yeah, I it makes me think of when, I was on set I did a feature film and all of us are just from different places and all different walks of life
Yeah.
we all just had one thing in common and it was and that nothing else mattered and it was like a family,
Mhm.
literally like a family.
Mhm.
And even if you're with them for 4 days, that's it. It was a family.
Yeah.
And
It's very
it's
heightened
such
in
a
reality.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's so beautiful when you come together and you have that. And then you say goodbye and you all travel to different parts of the world. And then you're starting over again. And then you have that experience. Um,
Yeah.
it's yeah, it's beautiful. It really is like living through love story after love story, right? And I feel that when I work with my clients is that the client comes in with his or her story and I get to take a part of that for
Yeah.
the time that we work together. I get to be a part of that person's life and get to see that person's soul and essence and vulnerabilities. And it feels like every time I have done a session, I'm just so fulfilled. I don't want to go out or do anything else. That is what gives me so much energy and joy in life. And then I'm thinking this was probably like the best session I've ever had. I feel so great and this person was so beautiful and you really get to see the depth of the person and then the next client I have, I go, well, this must have been the best session I've ever had. So, yeah,
Every day you get to live your best life. You're like, "I had a great session today. This was the best ever." And then tomorrow you wake up and you have an even better session.
yeah.
It just
Like
keeps getting better and better.
yeah, it's like I created a career for myself where I have the best relationships or relationships
Ah,
with people.
you have like the best of both worlds.
Yes. Yeah.
You do.
Yeah.
I love that. And it really does shine through in your work because, even though it is the actor's job to bring that to the table, you are fabulous at conveying just oh my gosh. And I will put Maria also does her classes. She does do branding classes. And I will put her website in the description so you guys can and her Instagram and all the things so you guys can check her out and look at all of her work. They're beautiful photos. Um so I'll put all of that in the info so they can check you out and you offer a lot of different things. So look at her website and search around. Um, I want to ask you a question about life
Oh.
before we wrap it up. If you could receive a future letter from your future self, what advice and insight would you hope to find in it?
Ooh, that's a hard one.
I know. And how come it's so deep? Where did I come up with that question?
Yeah.
So deep. What advice or insight would you hope to find? Future letter from your future self.
It's like right there. I'm
Yeah.
feeling it, but
I feel like keep going.
y-
Keep
yes,
going. Don't
yes,
quit.
yes. Don't give up. But no, I do know that I am on the right path. I I think
Clearly, you're
I think that my future
fantastic.
I think my future self has given me this message already, to be honest with you, because
Oh, yeah.
recently I something switched in me. Something switched, and it was two things. And this is actually, I think, good advice for artists in general. especially nowadays when everything is so fast. Things take time.
Mhm.
Things take time, and allow the process to just happen naturally. I received a message from someone, it was a complete stranger, who said to me in Spanish, I do speak some Spanish. It's maybe that was maybe the message from my future self, who said to me to allow things to just flow now. I was sitting
Mm.
having breakfast in Malibu, and this woman, the other table, she turned to me and she started to speak to me. She said, I've gotten a message that I want to give to you, and it is, yeah, allow
Wow.
things to flow freely. Go where there's least resistance. Um, and I was like, wow, that's ac- actually exactly what I needed to hear right now. But yeah, I think that that is the right message for me right now, is to just allow things to unfold naturally and not force it or try to push for it, because I'm on the right path. And yeah, things take time. And I think the other thing would be to just really see your own value.
Mm.
And um, I think a lot of us are struggling with that, to figure out what it means to you to love yourself, because it's different for everyone. But yeah, just like there's so many amazing YouTube videos to listen to when it comes to just how to think differently, how to, create a mindset for yourself that can really change the outcome of what you're doing in life. And I noticed that when I start to, you know, value myself more, and understand that I do have something to give, and yeah, love myself and respect myself more, I see a change in the outcome. And so I think those two things, just keep working with yourself and take one step in front of the other. That's all you can
Ah,
do.
yes. I think I needed to hear all of that right now.
Oh.
Yes,
I'll send you
that's
some of
very
the
true.
videos that I listen to. Since I work a lot from home, I'm editing photos, and I listen to a lot of videos and audiobooks.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, 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 me too, me too.
there's so much to learn, and sometimes it only takes like a little change of thought that can really make a difference in your life.
Yes, and just knowing that you have something to give, my gift is enough, and I am worthy of what I have to give, and, you know yeah, I needed to hear that, and value yourself and more self-love. I'm all about the self-love, like because I struggle with that, with loving the parts of yourself that nobody claps for, I guess, is what the saying is. But it's hard. It's hard to love the good and the bad of yourself. And so once you do that, it's a process because we're always evolving. So learning to just keep loving yourself and keep going one foot in front of the other, like you're saying, it's a very valuable lesson. And it's something that you kind of have to grasp onto for the rest of your life,
Yeah.
really.
I
Yeah.
mean, it's kind of like therapy, what we were talking about, but I talked to my girlfriend the other day when I said to her, I start to realize that a lot of those things that I struggling with in life, anxiety, and comes from shame from um, not wanting to accept certain parts of myself.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
so she was really relating to that, and we talked about that for a while, and then we decided that we're gonna, next time we get together, we're actually gonna sit down, and I'm gonna tell her everything about myself that I'm ashamed of,
Oh,
all my shadow sides, things that I haven't told anybody, and she's going to do the same thing to me.
wow.
And just to get it out there and talk about the things that we feel are holding us back in life.
Wow. That's powerful. And then get it off your chest.
Yeah, and I think when you
Yeah.
start to accept, there are a couple of things I'm starting to accept about myself, and thinking, well, that's me, that's who I am, and Maybe those are not my best parts, but I have to love all of it,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm. Yeah. So true.
Even the trembling and
Yeah.
so yeah, but that's I think that that's when when my self love kicked in, that's when that stopped.
Yeah. 'Cause you addressed it, you accepted it, and this is
Yeah,
who you
it's
are.
I can tremble, I can
Okay.
you know
Right.
it's
Yeah.
and especially in this industry, um w- it can enrich our creativity in a way.
Mm.
It makes us unique and special.
Yeah. Yes. I love all of that. Thank you for saying that and sharing that because that it clicked for me just now. So thank you. Um, and at the end of every episode, I'm again so freaking grateful for you to be on here. And I am so thankful. I mean, thank you so much. This was such a great conversation. I know a lot of actors will take this and be able to use this like today in their work. Um, and this is Blonde Ambitions podcast. So at the end of every episode, when I remember, because I haven't really asked this lately, but I like to ask my guests, what is your ambitious goal for the week?
Uh-oh.
So let's end the conversation with your ambitious goal for the week, Maria.
Okay.
You're like, I have 900.
Yeah, exactly. How about I am going to put together a class, a branding
Wonderful.
class for all the actors listening right now. How about that?
Oh, wow. Okay. And how do they sign up for the class?
So my website is tornbergheadshots.com. My Instagram is Tornberg Headshots. My email is tornbergphotoassist@gmail.com. And so we can set up a link perhaps that they can
Yeah.
click on and then just send me a message, an email, and then I will get back to you with information.
Love it. And I will put all of that info in the information section here.
Okay.
Whatever it is. I'm like, I can't even think about what it's called right now. But on the info,
Yeah.
you guys will be able to all follow Maria and email her and all of those things. And I would highly recommend getting into a branding class with Maria. That's probably, one of your first steps in this industry is to find out who you are.
Yes. Know thyself, know thy brand is sort of
I
my
love it.
slogan.
Yes, I love that. Thank you so much, Maria. I'm glad that you were here today and offering all this information. And thank you so much.
Thank you.
Um, thank you. I hope you have a great week, an ambitious week, and I can't wait for your class.
Okay, sounds good.
Yay.
Have a nice day. Bye.
Bye.